All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our Connected Roots call for today, August 26th. Today is a very important topic for a lot of people. And so we're going to do our best to really help connect the dots and bring this all into a more cohesive understanding of how body weight or body shape is really formed or indicative of our underlying hormonal and even our mindset, uh, more so than the old paradigm of calories in and calories out. And so, we all have the kind of understanding of like seeing somebody like Oprah Winfrey, somebody who within limited resources, who seems to have everything that she could possibly want in her life and have just this amazing life, but still has these, does these yo-yo diets up and down, up and down. And no matter how much weight she loses, she gains back all of it and more every time she goes through one of these. Because unfortunately, she's living under an old paradigm: calories in equals calories out. And what we've come to understand is that in order to maintain a healthy body composition, which has adequate muscle, we have to keep our body out of stress just as much as we need to keep it properly nourished. And remember that adequate muscle is essential not just for looking good in your bathing suit. It's essential for digestion. It's essential for moving and circulating everything in the body. It's essential for brain function. Okay, so this isn't just about aesthetics. And what we have to really get clear on is that if having a specific body shape is our goal, that we have to start with digestion, sleep, mindset. All of those things have to be working and in order before something like exercise could be of benefit to that person's body. Otherwise, if we don't have those other pieces in place, exercise and attempting to lose weight is actually just additional stress, which is going to make the body worse. So we can take my story as a really great example. I was always chronically underweight pretty much my whole life. Even at my heaviest, which was fat heavy, I never weighed more than 140 pounds.
Oh my God.
And at my lowest, I was down to about 120 pounds at one point when I was living at a raw vegan retreat center, and I was not allowed to eat dinner. I was only allowed to have green juice at night. And despite that, my body just didn't work. I had everything was non-functional and getting worse to the point where I was developing new food sensitivities. I was developing new chronic illnesses, whether it was being diagnosed with Lyme or mold, candida, whatever, you name it. It was all symptomatic of my body breaking down instead of being able to rebuild and be strong and healthy and vital. And so this is a really important concept to understand, is that it's metabolically less expensive for your body to maintain fat. Fat is pretty much inert. It just sits there. Your body doesn't have to do anything once it's there. But muscle requires constant maintenance, constantly turning over new cells because they're easily damaged and they require a lot of energy to maintain. So if our body is not working metabolically efficiently, it's going to choose to just store energy in the least expensive way possible, and that is body fat. But then if you're also starving yourself the way I was as a raw vegan, you're not going to be able to maintain muscle either. Even though you're skinny, you have the aesthetic appearance of being healthy. I just saw a woman on Facebook who, she was a model. She had the perfect body. And she was saying how she's been struggling with major digestion problems and hormonal issues, and she had to have endometriosis surgery, right? So we have to get it out of our heads that the physical appearance is in any way directly and consistently a way to tell how healthy a person is. Okay. And so now I'll let Rachel tell a little bit about her story, and then we're going to go into a little bit more into depth about this problem and what the solution is and what we're doing directly to address this.
Sorry if you hear children coughing, but yeah. So I also have faced many, I would say, weight roller coasters. I haven't in a while, but when I was younger, I went through two different, one major weight gain and one major weight loss, and they both were entirely stress driven. One was at the beginning of my freshman year, and everyone, it's a joke that everyone like talks about the like freshman 20, whatever it is, like that you gain weight your freshman year of college. And the reason is because it's a new environment, it's stressful, you're doing things differently, you're not getting enough sleep. Like it's pretty much documented that college students don't get enough sleep. So they're doing all of the things wrong that are going to create the conditions to gain significant amounts of weight. So I was able to overcome that within about 2 years and lose the weight. But then going into grad school, I had the opposite issue, and I actually went through some significant weight loss because of the anxiety and I had an extreme exercise addiction at the time, and that was only causing me to have more. That tickles. Please stop that. That was only causing me to have more weight loss issues and being unable to gain weight at that time, and all of the roller coaster things. Also at the same time, my sleep was off again. I was not eating healthy and doing all of the things the wrong way. So exercise is secondary to the weight loss a lot of times, because you need to be able to get those mindset, stress, sleep, digestion things in line first. So Eric's going to dive into a little bit more about the problem, and we'll get
Yeah, thanks, Rachel. So quite simply, the problem is stress. And the reality is that stress comes in many different Trojan horses, right? Everybody knows the Trojan horse. We think it's a gift, but it turns out to be hiding, our ultimate downfall in it. And one of these major Trojan horses right now, going back to the calories in, calories out paradigm, is now people are literally normalizing different eating disorders and forms of, essentially anorexia, but they're calling it intermittent fasting or other forms of extreme diets, which show up in many different nutritional paradigms. We see this in, veganism, we see it in the keto and carnivore movements. But essentially, people are starving themselves of specific macronutrients or specific food groups, and it's allowing them to have the aesthetic appearance that they're desiring. But underneath that is extreme physiological stress. So hearkening back to when I was a raw vegan and weighed 128 pounds, and my digestion just did not work. Literally for almost 3 years, I did not have normal bowel movements. My gut always hurt. And I just felt like everything I ate just passed right through me. And what most people don't understand is that the same hormones that regulate your digestion also regulate things like your menstrual cycle and your mood, and whether or not you can build muscle or burn fat. And so one of the most important ones is progesterone. So now if you're under chronic stress, and this could be pregnancy, okay? We're not trying to pathologize pregnancy. We're just trying to point out that when women become pregnant, the stress of that on their body causes an incredible exponential increase in the levels of estrogen in their body. And so what we work very hard to get across is that estrogen is a stress hormone, and it's a stress hormone in men and in women. And it's increased during stress, which then decreases progesterone. Progesterone is also depleted because it's converted into cortisol. Cortisol, again, is a stress hormone, okay? And by now, most people understand cortisol as the stress hormone that creates belly fat. That's, pretty mainstream knowledge now. But what we don't get across, we say, oh, well, cortisol is just from stress, right? So you just need to relax. But what they don't tell you is that when your blood sugar drops for any reason, just because you haven't eaten recently or because you're not eating any carbs, that also causes a spike in cortisol. And this is the mechanism that wakes you up in the morning. So after you haven't eaten while you've been sleeping, your blood sugar drops, and then that triggers cortisol. Cortisol in the short term will kind of give you some pep, get you moving, right? And as long as you can get to food quickly enough, and this is why we tell you to have orange juice, coconut water, milk, something with carbohydrates and protein immediately when you wake up, because the sooner you get food in your system and you get your blood sugar up from food, the quicker your body can reduce the cortisol. Because otherwise, as cortisol lingers, it's going to trigger other hormones that are going to tell your body to start making glucose to maintain your blood sugar where it should be. It's a process called gluconeogenesis. But when that happens, your body creates more glucose than is necessary to get a healthy blood sugar. So you're actually creating a condition called hyperglycemia. Okay. So this is why somebody who could be 128 pounds and really skinny with a little bit of belly fat can actually be a closet diabetic. And that's exactly what I was. So what this is to illustrate is that people who look like they have the perfect physique actually can be having the same physiological problems as somebody who is 400 pounds and diabetic and on medications, because the same underlying hormones and physiological stress are at play. So if somebody wants to lose weight, the order of operations have to be very clear. 1, digestion. 2, regulating blood sugar. 3, developing a relaxed, well-centered mindset, right? And we're going to talk a little bit more about that, and that's what we're going to do a little exercise with that too. And then from there, once we have those systems in order, then we start to see better regulation of sleep, better regulation of mood, and then we can start adding in increased amounts of physical activity, because now instead of putting physical activity onto an already stressed system, we can integrate physical activity in a healthy, balanced way, which produces the healthy hormones like endorphins, right? The runner's high, things like that, that are not stress inducing. Okay. So very simply, right? Summarizing, if you have a stress system and then you exercise or you try to starve yourself in any various ways to lose weight, you're actually increasing stress, right? Your body actually thinks that you're literally starving and running from saber-tooth tigers 24/7. As soon as we shift your physiology from that to one where your body feels very well nourished and safe, and then add physical activity, that becomes something that very quickly transforms your body. And this is true for people who have even been doing this program for 6 months or a year, because sometimes that's how long it takes, or there can be some pieces of this puzzle that are missing. There could still be some significant sources of stress elsewhere, or some people just really don't realize that they're undernourishing themselves. And it seems so counterintuitive, but they think, and they think maybe my appetite isn't that big, they don't eat as much. And then what they have to actually start doing is increasing the amounts of refined sugars, refined white sugar, maple syrup, honey, juice, because they're not actually meeting their physiological needs for sugar. So their body is remaining in that stress state of blood sugar up and down. And so I'm another great example of that. So over the course of figuring this stuff out and making these changes and adding in the taboo, everybody run for your life, it's going to kill you sugar, I was able to, for the first time in my life, weigh more than about 134 pounds. And now I weigh about 152. I haven't actually weighed myself in a while, but last time I checked, it was like 152 pounds. And yes, I still have a similar amount of belly fat, but I can actually feel how much stronger my abs are, and I don't fit in any of my shirts, not because of the stomach, but because of the shoulders and the arms, the biceps, right? Because these are places that I was never able to have muscle. Same thing with like my shorts and my pants, my thighs and my calves don't fit in my pants anymore because there's so much more muscle. So again, it comes back to getting all of these other physiological problems into a better place so that your body can shift to an anabolic state, right? So a quick definition, what is anabolic? Anabolic means being able to build healthy tissue. So this is constantly happening in our bodies. Our bodies are constantly replacing old or damaged tissues with new. But the opposite is catabolic. And now if our body is in a state of constant stress, we're emphasizing catabolic states and catabolic hormones like estrogen, where we're breaking down more than we're repairing. That's the process of aging. That's the process of chronic disease. And it doesn't matter how old you are or how young you are or how sick you are. If you can shift the balance towards anabolic, your body will heal. And the only way to create that shift is to focus more on what is working, what is bringing you pleasure, what is helping you feel good, what you want more of, rather than focusing on the stubborn belly fat or the indigestion or whatever it is that's bothering us. We have to be able to shift our attention towards the things that are working, because just focusing our thoughts and our attention on that is going to create more happy hormones. But if every time we stop and look at our belly and think, oh God, this stubborn belly fat, never going to get rid of it, that's exactly what you're telling your body to do. And you're going to get more of that. Okay. I know Rachel kind of walked away. If you can still hear me, Rachel, is there anything you want to add to that before we go into the exercise? What was that? Okay, that was a no. Great. So quite simply, if part of the focus is weight loss, You can't achieve weight loss in a healthy way without first fixing digestion, hormones, blood sugar, mood, and having a mindset shift, beginning to think as if you already have the health and the body that you desire. Okay? Because if we only base our experience on the evidence in front of us, how will we ever create anything new in our lives? We would always just settle for what we have. Nobody would ever accomplish anything. All right. So this is not just critical to transforming our health and our bodies. It's critical to transforming our lives in general. We want to make changes in our financial reality, our relationships, anything. We have to first begin to envision what we want, and we have to put more emphasis on that vision than what is actually here. So let's practice. I invite everybody to close your eyes and just take a nice, slow, deep breath. And when you exhale, you can release it with a sigh. Ah. And a really good tool is to simply remind yourself in this moment, I am safe. You can speak it out loud or in your head, whatever feels good, because the thought is a vibration just as much as the actual spoken word. So we want to remind ourselves we are safe, we are comfortable, we are here and provided for in our bodies. And we can release that with a sigh. Ah. And then on the next breath in, we're going to start at our toes. And as we inhale, we want to try to imagine like energy just coming up through the bottoms of our feet, our toes, up our legs, past our knees and our thighs and our hips, into our butts, up into our abdomens. And as it's traveling up, you start to notice where it might get a little bit stuck. But that's okay. Just notice those places and then try to pull through them. Bring the energy up, up, up through the chest, to the neck, and to the head. And then focus your attention at the top of your head. And then again, just exhale, release it with a sigh. Ah. Now, remember, where were those places the energy got stuck? For most people, it might just be one spot that you just really felt like sticky or heavy. And that's probably the same area that you might be struggling with as either directly representative of your health or manifesting some other struggle in your life. So you just want to place your hands on that spot. And on the next inhale, just try to breathe into that spot. And now the goal is to try not to think anything. Just quiet your mind, relax, bring your attention on that spot and see if anything comes to you. You might have some images or some memories that come into your head. Let them go, let them run, just follow them, see where they lead. Your body is speaking to you right now in this moment. It is telling you this spot is where we are holding trapped energy, trapped experiences, and showing you how they relate to the physical experience you are having now. Take one more big, deep breath into that spot. Exhale, release it, let it go. Now here's the tricky part. Whatever came up for you, you get to let that go as an experience from your past that you no longer have to hang on to. So it doesn't serve us to struggle, to try to articulate it, to try to share what the memory was, to try to retell the story that came up. That doesn't serve us. That's part of what we want to let go. We don't want that past to continue being carried forward with us into our future. We want to acknowledge it and appreciate it, send love there, and let it go. And it's not going to happen overnight, not going to happen instantaneously. This is a practice. It's a practice of awareness, of saying the body has been taking care of me, communicating with me. I'm acknowledging that communication. I'm sending love to this place that has been causing me discomfort. And if I can choose to love that place despite the discomfort, then I can heal it. So I can love the stubborn belly fat. I know that it's there because it's serving a purpose. It's what my body needs right now. And I love my body. I know I trust my body to do what it needs to do to keep me as healthy as possible and safe. And now I am choosing to work with my body, in love with my body, and letting go of any beliefs or ideas of struggle or fighting against my body. Now I am choosing to be a fully invested, loving, compassionate partner with myself and with my body. Choosing to create the future in my mind and letting go of the past that has been robbing me of the present. And we'll take one more big deep breath in. Ah. And yawning during an exercise like that is a really good sign that you've released some sort of stress. And your body is taking in just a little bit more than it could before. All right, so does anybody want to share how they're feeling right now? You'll have to unmute, Jane.
Unmute. Yeah.
Yep, there you go.
Takes me a while, but I get it. When I was doing that, I was thinking of how I've treated my body, and especially the stomach area, so bad. Makes me want to cry. And for so many years, you know, of trying to lose weight. And that is basically everything that I did was to lose weight. Or when you don't lose weight, you're gaining weight. So
Great. So let me interject, Jane. The question now is, so what now?
Now I'm not even thinking of the weight right now. I'm really not. I want that, but I want to be healthy. I want to give my stomach what it deserves. And I am so sick of feeling sick all the time. You know, I had a lap band surgery. I threw up with that lap band for 7 years,
Yep.
every single day.
And now it's in the past, right?
It's in the past. That's gone, like you
Yep.
said. But this is kind of just where I'm coming from. And the damage, I can't imagine. That is gone. That the lap band's gone. Everything's gone. So I do need to feel like I need to start new, which is what I'm doing with you in 2-3 weeks. And yeah, I'm not even thinking about the weight. I'm really not. But my stomach is still hurting, but I know now that I'm at least working on it to heal, and not because I'm eating terrible food or whatever else.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's kind of where I was feeling. And of course I'm feeling all that in my stomach and all that area.
Yes. So great. I thank you so much for sharing that and, you know, acknowledging how far you've come. So now what you're experiencing, right, is you got one leg here and you know, like one leg on both sides of the fence, right? So you can see is how through this experience that it brought you to a really beautiful, self-compassionate, loving place. And there was still that thing kind of tugging you to guilt or remorse or whatever, you know? And so this is the practice, right? To go here, go to the beautiful, loving place, see when these come up and just go right back here. Just go right back here because this isn't going to get you to where you want to go.
Right. That's gone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, Rob, go ahead.
Hey, so my weight, my belly fat is the thing that frustrates me and is there. You know, I think I feel a lot of frustration because it feels like I've been trying to do this for so long and not seeing the results. But you know, I'm thankful that my body is still keeping me generally healthy. You know, that it could be a lot worse, and for that I'm thankful. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's important to voice where we're at, right? I think similar to what Jane is experiencing, where the present reality keeps pulling us one way and the desire is pulling us another way. Sometimes we forget that we have a choice which one to focus on. And then if we get caught up in focusing on what isn't working, what isn't exactly how we like it, we're putting all of our energy and intention on that. And if we continue to drop into these practices where we look for how our inner dialogue and our relationship to trauma is keeping us in that place, we can start to shift our focus and our attention and our energy in the direction that we want to be going, rather than getting stuck in the tug of war in the middle. And yeah, and exactly what you said, starting with just, you know, having that gratitude and love for our bodies and how far they've taken us at this point in the journey. And then honoring ourselves and the process and knowing that, one, we can't compare ourselves to other people's progress. And two is that actually, if other people are experiencing the things that we desire, we first focus on appreciating and celebrating that other people have done what I want to do, because that's showing me that it's possible, right? Just like how for hundreds of years, maybe thousands of years, humans did not believe it was possible to run a 4-minute mile. And then literally one person did it. And then the next day, 2 more people did it. And then the next day, more people did it. And now a 4-minute mile, anybody can run a 4-minute mile. Kids in high school run 4-minute miles now. But human history and our own beliefs said that that was impossible until somebody else did it. So everybody else could have been like, oh, screw that guy, he's a cheater, it's because he was whatever, right? You can make up excuses about race or how, whatever advantages you might believe that person had. But the reality is that the people that said, oh, wow, if he could do that, I can do that, are the ones that did it. And so it just goes to show, right, the power of the mind and the power of belief. If that isn't in place, there's almost nothing that we can do to physically change our reality. And I mean, I guess just to bring up Jane, thank you again for sharing. This is a very, personal and intimate story about having like lap band surgery, right? People do these sort of things. They do liposuction, right? They just try to change the physical reality, but underneath that hasn't changed. So actually nothing gets better. So if we start by working on what's underneath, then we can change what is expressed outwardly.
I'll try, but thanks.
Yeah. No, you are, Rob. You are doing it. And every day is a little bit more and a little bit more. And when things aren't going exactly the way we want them to, that's just an opportunity to observe and evaluate and see where can I be doing a little bit more. So if we look at the thoughts and the way that we speak, right? Saying like, I try. Well, if you speak in the past tense and you say, I tried, most people would assume that you didn't accomplish it, right? Like that's our implication from that word. So even just a slight shift in our speech to say, okay, well, I'm going to give it my best, has much more affirmative power to move you in that direction than saying, I'm going to try. So these are all little things that don't come together all at once. They come together little bit by bit. And so this is, again, like, why do we emphasize meditation? Because you get to sit, even if it's only for 2 minutes, and you just observe where your mind goes. Because if your mind goes to, I'm always going to be fat, it's working for everybody else, it's not working for me, well, you're going to look for evidence of that in your physical reality. But if we identify that we're having those thoughts and that's our inner dialogue, we can then say, oh, you know what? Those thoughts don't feel good to me. I would rather choose to think that, okay, that has been my past, that has been my reality, and I am now going to do things differently to create a different reality. That's all you have to say. That starts with that. That is, I mean, it's so general and so vague, but it's enough to stop the momentum of the negative thoughts and the negative beliefs, right? I was listening to this great podcast. I don't know if anybody else here listens to Esther Hicks, but I'm like addicted. It's just so fun to listen to her. And one of the things a guy was like, yeah, there's this guy in my office that he just annoys the hell out of me. And she says to him, well, how does it feel to say that out loud in front of 500 people here and to constantly think that? And he's like, well, I feel annoyed again. And she's like, well, where is he? How is he annoying you now? We don't even know who he is, what he looks like, anything. And he's annoying you right now. And he says, well, so then what do I do? And she says, well, you have created so much momentum in that belief that even here, thousands of miles away from him, in a setting which is supposed to be so not annoying, right? Supposed to be so uplifting and so empowering, that you can't let go of him. So what do? Instead of saying, oh, this guy annoys the hell out of me, you stop and you think, God loves everyone, is what she said. You believe something so general, but so antithetical to what you were believing, that it just halts the momentum of the negative belief. So we can also say, okay, here's the negative belief. I've been working so hard and I'm not making any progress. Okay, well, perhaps you have been making progress, but if you're a little bit hard on yourself, it's hard to see it. So how do we stop that momentum? I am making healthy, positive changes in my life, and they feel good. You can just be very broad in general, but in a positive direction. And immediately that will stop the momentum of those other thoughts, which are, I mean, I can ask you, do you want to continue believing those thoughts? Or do you want to believe that you can have the body and the health and everything else that you want? So it just comes back down to desire and to choosing what is more important to you, because you can hold two completely opposite beliefs in your mind at the same time. You don't have to believe either one. So pick the one that feels good.
Thanks.
Thank you for sharing.
So some other positive thoughts is I love Louise Hay's Heal Your Body. And so for overweight, some of the affirmations that she has specifically for overweight are, I am at peace with my own feelings. I am safe where I am. I create my own security. I love and approve of myself. Because she says that some of the beliefs or some of the problems that cause overweight and are fear or need for protection, running away from your feelings, insecurity, self-rejection, or seeking fulfillment. So those affirmations that I said the first time, and I can repeat them or type them in the chat if you'd like, are antidotes, if you will, to those negative thought patterns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, notice how general they were, right? They weren't like the antidote to overweight is say, I will lose 10 pounds today. They're general. They're antidotes. They're ways to stop negative momentum and shift that energy in another direction. Okay, well, we're just about out of time. If anybody wants to share very briefly anything, just keep it to like 30 seconds. Feel free right now, and we'll be out of here at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, I think I really like what you were just saying, those general things, that because when you say these general things, it's not like you're saying things are wrong. It's not like saying like, oh, I'm gonna lose, I commit to losing 20 pounds, and you're saying, well, you are. I mean, what's true? It's like, I am making healthy changes in my life to bring a much more happy, healthy, existence to my being. It's like, yeah, that's true. I mean,
Yeah.
that's why I'm here. And when you say that, it's like, oh, I guess if I focus on that, that's just these general things. Like, what else can I say? What else can I say to myself that will bring me more happiness every day?
Mhm.
How can I do this more easily? How can I enjoy my life today?
Right. Yeah. And this carries into any context, right? Like you could say, I'm going to make $10 million today. Okay, maybe. Right. If your vibration is really there, Jeff Bezos, right? That's a realistic thing. That could happen. But what's more realistic is something more general, is just to say, wow, today I'm going to appreciate the incredible abundance and wealth that I already have. That's also true. It's very vague.
Joy.
Nobody can argue with you. God loves everyone, even that annoying guy at the office. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thanks, Eric. Anybody else? But we're going to just try to keep it to 30 seconds, but thanks. Anybody else? Something? Okay. Hold your space bar. It'll unmute you. Yeah. It should work.
Okay,
There you go.
just want a fast question. You know, we're talking about getting our body healed and everything before we do those exercises. But do you think I should hold off, or should I start? I mean, I'm doing the rebounder, but I can only do 2 minutes, so I don't think that's going to kill me. But
as long as it feels good. So
okay.
it's not that you're only doing 2 minutes. You're doing 2 minutes more than you were doing two
Right.
weeks ago.
And just don't stress out. If
Right.
you only do 2 minutes, do 2 minutes, and
Right.
that's it. Not
Yeah.
really go
Yeah.
all out for the exercise yet.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like
Take
what
it
Rob, exactly what Rob was saying, right? Where he was comparing his results to other people.
No,
That's
you can't.
irrelevant. He's not anybody else's body. So and neither are you. So you do what feels good for you. Okay. And that's all this process is figuring out how to have more and more time and experiences in our lives that feel good.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Jenny or Wendy, any closing remarks?
I was trying to do that space bar trick. Didn't work on me. No, I mean, I'm just trying to make peace with all the change. I mean, I've never, like, I'm not overweight, but I've never been this weight. The last time I weighed this much, I was pregnant 9 months. So it's like a big adjustment to make peace with it, and to just realize that it's like a moment in time, and it's just like, you just got to keep going forward.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, and try not to stress out.
Yeah, right. That's the goal, not to stress. And so now you just have to, or you just get to figure out what feels good and how to move forward in that direction, right? Now that you've created a different baseline where other things are dramatically improved, we get to create more from that and not have to sacrifice any of the things that you've gained. Mm-hmm. Hi, Wendy.
I definitely needed this session because I was getting a little frustrated because I gained weight in the last few months, and clothes aren't fitting me that I worked very hard to get into.
Mm-hmm.
So I was getting very frustrated. So I need to just kind of take a step back and just the mindset thing, you know,
Yeah.
just.
Yep. So gratitude lists, right? Just constantly reminding ourselves of what we've already accomplished. Okay. Because otherwise it's very easy for our minds to start focusing on what's not here yet. Right. So Wendy, you're a great example of somebody who, you know, has seen incredible improvements in what you can see in like blood tests and everything else. Okay. And so remembering that, okay, we're building on that. We're building on that foundation. This is how our body is choosing to go through this process. And as long as we know we are continuing to maintain all of that other product, all that other progress, then eventually we can build on that in terms of the aesthetics, right? The inward environment needs to heal, needs to balance, then the outward environment will reflect that eventually. Great. All right, well, that will wrap things up, everybody. All right, we'll have this recording. I'm gonna, there was actually some really great little snippets in here. I'm gonna make little ones, okay? And if any of you are in that snippet, I will show it to you and get your permission to be able to share that. But otherwise, this was a really great session, and I really appreciate all of you being here and sharing.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.